whenever anybody of any Maori background at all is involved in a positive story, and it doesn't matter whether it's academia, or it doesn't matter whether it's they saved somebody from a burning house, or they've been selected for the All Blacks. Have you noticed there's always a bracket around after their name that identifies their tribal background? And it's getting a bit silly now because for some people that gets to 4 to 8 tribes, largely apropos of the family history I told you about, because you've got, different iwi. You don't all come from, when you say Ngāti Kahungunu, you think, God, you must be bloody inbred if it's only Ngāti Kahungunu. In actual fact, Dr. Rhys Jones does. It's only got Ngāti Kahungunu by his name. And I'm going, oh, hell, man, it's a lot of inbreeding there, mate. God, you got 6 toes or something? Anyhow, it doesn't matter. I'm sure there's more there. They never say Ngāti Pākehā, do they? Eh? Or what would it else be? Oh, I don't know, some sort of derivative thereof. It's always just this, tribal affiliation. And I go, oh, okay, all right. And listen, if people want to do that, don't worry. I mean, that's fine. But the media are onto it in a big way, And obviously at some stage, they must have asked that. So it doesn't matter whether it's an academic tome that comes out or a news story or someone selected for the All Blacks or, which is going to be, I think, announced tomorrow. They'll have their tribal affiliation beside them. You go, oh, God. So it's an affectation for me, but, oh, well, if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not going to die in a ditch over that one. But, and here's the but, can I just say, whenever Maori appear in the court news or they're being caught, in some sort of criminal enterprise, or somebody's being unfortunately far too many up for child abuse or child murder or homicide, you never see their tribal affiliations being displayed, Josh, do you?
No, they quite conveniently forget about it at that
no,
point.
I mean, they're never displayed. They don't go, oh, Hori Waititi, Ngā Pui murdered his 3-year-old child last week. They never do that. They never make the association. But if Hori Ngā Piti had been, in actual fact, selected for, I don't know, the Auckland Rugby League team, oh, no, proud Ngā Pui boy. So you can't have it both ways, can I just say? And the New Zealand media are playing this silly game that will identify your tribal affiliation only if it's a positive story, but will forget it if it's not. No, it doesn't work that way, media, or Maori media for that matter either. You're either in or you're out, but you can't be in and out. You either belong to a tribal affiliation in the good times, or you do during the bad times as well. Or we'll just forget it because it's sort of irrelevant anyhow, which tribal affiliation you come from. But anyhow, I was just looking at that because on the Radio New Zealand story this morning, Associate Professor Dr. Rhys Jones is announced as Ngāti Kahungunu. Can I just say that I reckon that if Associate Professor Dr. Rhys Jones got caught drink driving and arraigned in the Auckland High Court, the Auckland District Court, and he was involved in, shall we say, a family harm incident or something really negative, I'm pretty sure that the Ngāti Kahungunu be dropped, well, like a stone. What do you think? But it's bizarre. That's what it is. All right. So there he is. And he's published in the Radio New Zealand News. Where else would it be published in this country except by the state broadcaster? A latest piece of research, here we go, research, saying that Maori students going through long-standing medical admission schemes are more likely to graduate. And I read that, and the headline sort of reads, well, gosh, then who? And the argument is the Maori students going through other university courses, so it's not quite as dramatic as the headline promotes it at Radio New Zealand. No, but the thing that was fascinating about that was that this particular Maori admissions scheme, medical admissions scheme, we've talked about it before, and I've told you how inequitable it is and how unfair and how racist it is, clearly its construct. But nonetheless, as people have pointed out, it's been going for yonks. Well, that doesn't make it any better just because it's been going for longer. In fact, it sort of makes it worse, but I'll come to that in just a second. In Auckland University, the Auckland University Medical School established their Maori medical admissions scheme in 1972. God, I was still at school then. I wasn't even thinking of university. And they now have, and have had for a long time, which is the basis of this research, a 1-year foundation program just for Māori and Pacifica students, but mostly for Māori students, called Hikatea Te Ora, which supports academic and scientific literacy and continues, and this is the issue, continues to provide academic, pastoral and cultural support all the way through the degree for Māori and Pacific Island students, but particularly for Māori students. Now, that academic, pastoral and cultural support isn't available to any other ethnicities or cultures in this country. They are only available. Now, what's the argument here? Well, the argument is because Māori do so poorly with their health statistics, all right? So therefore, they need Māori to be given special status and a special route into med schools so that they can, and all this special assistance when they're there. No wonder they don't fail. They couldn't if you're continually getting academic, pastoral and cultural support every year of your degree, not available to anybody else. But here we go. The problem here is that you would think, wouldn't you, that if it's been running since 1972, Māori health stats would have dramatically increased because all of these graduates coming out of Auckland and Otago University med schools would instantly head back to their people and be uplifting them for what? 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s, now into the 20s, over 50, 60 years, or 50 years, anyhow, over 50 years. But in actual fact, none of that's true. The same health inequities and gaps between Māori and Pacifica and between the general population continue to exist despite this blatant attempt at racial discrimination and changing the health workforce of New Zealand, and particularly our medical doctors, GPs and specialists and clinicians. I only say that because if the answer is this scheme works and it's a good thing, according this morning to Associate Professor Dr. Rhys Jones, then I ask this question. It's been going since 1972. It has been producing all of these medical graduates. Why is the plight of Māori in all of the worst health statistics? Māori are grossly overrepresented and also lacking the kind of practitioners that are apparently coming out of our med school at the moment with all of sort of support. In other words, where's the empirical data to say this medical admission scheme is working? Because all it seems to me to do is it's picking up a whole series of people who wouldn't normally go to med school because they're not bright enough, all right? Gifting them a place in med school at either Otago or Auckland, showering them with support, including help with their studies on an ongoing basis, are studies that they would normally fail but for the fact that they're constantly tutored and mentored through their degree. And then when they finish, do you think they're heading back to Ruatoria? Or Kerikeri? No, yes, they are going to Kerikeri. Kaikooi? To South Auckland? No. Not on the empirical data available to us at the moment. So, I mean, not only is this scheme racist, but it's not working. And there, at the end of the day, is the true and genuine criticism. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention this morning.